everyone, I'm getting my motorcycle ready for a road trip. So today I'm installing the Camel ADV rear rack and these Tusk panniers. The bags I bought don't require a rack, but having one makes installation easier and gives the bags a solid platform to sit on. I chose the Camel ADV minimalist rack. It looks like it's easy to install and fits the bike well. The first step is adding some Loctite to the hardware so it doesn't loosen up later. The CRF300L comes with 4 long bolts that can be used to strap things down with bungee cords. The long bolts that came with the rack go in front. Use the large washer and the silver spacer that came off with the old bolt. The shorter bolts go in the back. Use a thin washer, then the thinner spacer that came with the rack. Reuse the black spacer from the bike. The other side is the same, long bolt in front, short bolt in the back. The silver stepped spacers go in the front and the black ones go in the back. Leave all the bolts slightly loose for now. Set the rack on top of the brackets and install all 6 bolts. These bolts have a beveled edge and recess into the rack so they're flat when tightened down. After installing all the bolts, go back through and tighten them with the ratchet. They don't need to be super tight. 8 to 10 Newton meters should be enough. After tightening the top bolts, go back and tighten the bolts on the side. This rack looks really nice. The slots can be used to run straps through them, or you can use bolts to attach things to the rack. I ordered the Tusk Excursion Luggage System. You can strap this to your motorcycle without a rack. I got it with 2 side bags, a top bag, and 2 fuel bottle holders. The bags come with this big pad that sits on the motorcycle. This has straps that hold it on, and it acts as the base for mounting all the bags. The side bags are pointing forward like this. The mounting piece is made of a thick nylon material and has a soft foam pad under it. The side bags mount on with 3 bolts. Each bolt threads into a spiky nut that sticks to the underside. Get the first 2 bolts started, but leave them loose for now. I plan on bolting this mounting piece to the rack, so I don't need any of these mounting straps. I noticed these holes don't line up correctly. To make it easier for yourself, hold the nut underneath and tighten the bolt all the way through just the bottom layer. Now the nut is pressed into the material, so you don't have to fight it when you thread in the bolt again. This hole didn't line up right, so I sort of forced the bolt over at an angle. Be careful not to cross-thread it. Now it's time for the test fit. I want the side bags to sit up high on the fairings so they don't touch the muffler. I also need to decide how far forward or back it should be on the rack. It looks like in the middle is fine. I'll reinstall the foam pad, then set the mounting piece on the rack. I want to use some of the slotted holes in the rack to hold the bags. Let's mark 4 spots for bolts. I decided to use 5/16 inch diameter bolts, so I need to drill holes big enough for that. Drilling through fabric is a little weird. The holes tend to close up a little, so you might need to clean up the hole with a razor or small scissors. It's a good idea to add Loctite to the bolts. I picked up all these bolts at my local Ace hardware store. I stacked 2 small washers by the head of the bolt and 1 more washer between the rack and the nut. I left all these bolts loose so they could slide back and forth, then made sure they lined up with the bag mounting piece. Now everything is lined up and the bag thing sits nicely on the rack. I used big fender washers to spread out the load so the bolts can't pull through the fabric. I'm using 4 big plastic wing nuts to make this thing easily removable. Now I need to finish lining up the bags. The last bolt has 3 possible positions. Unfortunately, I need a hole in between. That's okay, I have a drill. Install the 3rd screw and make sure all of them are tight. Each bag has a lower strap. I'm running it through the passenger foot peg. To keep the strap from hanging down and getting caught on stuff, I stuck it in between the bag and foam pad. These bags are sitting above the muffler, but I'll add this heat shield just in case something sags down a bit. It's held on by a big metal hose clamp. Slide the clamp through the heat shield and tighten it down with the drill. Here I have a 1.5 liter fuel bottle. It fits just fine in the gas can bags. Roll the top of the bag closed and secure the buckles. These side pannier bags are not really a waterproof material, so they come with these 15-liter waterproof dry bags that go inside. And you would load these up with your clothing and things you might need on a road trip. Now, nobody needs to see my chonies, so for this video, I'll be loading these up with towels. Here we go. Just roll that up, and in it goes. Here's a close-up of the left bag. Just stuff it down in there, roll the top closed, and secure the buckles. One's on top, and the other one is down here. And I also got the small 10-liter top bag. So they sell a bigger one than this. This is just 10 liters. This is also a waterproof dry bag. Let's put the rest of the towels in here. The top bag is held on with Velcro, but you must also run the straps through these loops to hold it in place. Snap the buckles, then pull the straps tight. These Tusk bags are excellent. I've already taken this motorcycle on a road trip from Utah, across the Nevada desert, into California, and back. This motorcycle has a fuel tank with a 2.1 gallon capacity, which gets me about 150 miles. There are a couple spots in Nevada where it's 167 miles between gas stations, so these fuel bottles came in handy. Perhaps my favorite thing about this bag system is how quickly it can be removed from the motorcycle. Check it out. The top bag has to come off first. I'm releasing 2 buckles and pulling them back out of the loops in the bag. Each side bag has a strap attaching it to the passenger foot peg. The whole bag assembly is held onto the rack with 4 wing nuts. I simply unscrew the nuts and pull the bag holder up. And that's it. Thanks to using the rack and the wing nuts, I can just take this whole thing off, take it in the motel room with me, and the motorcycle can just sit outside like this. In case you're wondering, these Tusk brand bags come from Mountain ATV here in Utah, and the Camel ADV rack comes from Canada. They also make the Camel tank, which is a 1.5 gallon additional fuel tank that goes in the back of your motorcycle to extend your range so you don't have to mess around with these fuel bottles. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.